you got a lot of viewers.
Let's see.
Look at us. We're both together.
I
That's
know,
good.
like, oh my gosh.
Well, welcome to the Daily Bend, BEAU'D Not Broken. I'm Bo Babka, and we're coming to you from South Jordan, Utah for the Periscope folks, because they're from all around the world, and the Facebook people too.
Yeah, we are.
Want to thank the Eskilsons from yesterday. Jared's story was fantastic and very inspiring. No, go ahead. It's very off the cuff. Very inspiring. Definitely BEAU'D Not Broken, and he did just a great job. And we want to have him back on eventually, so make sure you go to his online auction and do all that stuff. It's a special BEAU'D Friday. See, we've got the superhero shirt. Margarita, she's a superhero anyway. It doesn't matter. She's got the good tats going on.
That's
so
right.
it's a special day because a good friend of mine, Jason Reed, yesterday passed away. Last night passed away. Firefighter, just a all-around great guy from down in Utah County. My affiliation with him was for many years. He was fighting cancer and some other things. And
sorry about that.
Leaves just a beautiful family behind. Affiliated with the Waldron family that I started to work with after I got out of law enforcement. Anyway, the Waldrons have many businesses in Utah. One of the businesses is Silencer Co. They build silencers for guns. They're one of the top silencer builders in the country
get
now.
Their information.
Yeah, definitely so. But anyway, today's show is dedicated to Jason. I messaged his son Mitch last night. Love these people to death, and it was pretty emotional for me, as it is for a lot of folks, to lose someone that amazing. Anyway, thanks again for watching. We are on Periscope. If you don't have the Periscope app, I'm looking at this phone and we're looking at that one. Please go get it. We come to you each and every day, Monday through Friday, and we talk about faith, courage, and endurance. And we talk to regular people in their regular lives, and we try and help each other, inspire each other to better heights, and getting in and out of challenges and things that we face in life. And so that's the premise for our show. It's been very successful thanks to you. We hope to get more people to watch live. We also archive these on BEAU'DNotBroken.com. That's www.BEAU'DNotBroken.com, and on YouTube and on the Facebook pages. But we like people to go to the website, BEAU'DNotBroken.com, where we have all of the shows that we've archived. So today's our last show for the week, and Margarita is with us today, and I've known her. I probably have known her longer. I know we've known each other for a while, but the last couple of years we've at least gotten to know each other quite a bit, and I just think she's about. Well, I guess you can't say the bee's knees, but she's an amazing woman, a very strong, powerful woman, and I think an advocate for a lot of different things. But let me start out by just allowing you to give us some of the highlights that come to mind of your life and what's kind of made you who you are, and for the people out there, because this show really is about helping each other, inspire each other.
Well, thanks for having me on your show, Bo. You
Thanks
have
for
quite a
coming.
few followers, and I'm excited to be here. But tomorrow's my birthday, just so you know.
Oh, it's Christian Jensen. Christian Jensen, my producer and friend.
Happy birthday,
Christian, it's your birthday today. It's your birthday. It's your birthday. It's your birthday. Anyway, sorry.
So currently I am the chairperson for the Utah Pacific Islander Civic Engagement Coalition. After I ran for office, I ran for city council in Cottonwood Heights. I realized my eyes were open to the fact that the Pacific Islander community didn't really have an organization that could back them up when it came to anything that had to do with civil engagement. We had our African American community who had NAACP, our Latino community who had like La Raza.
Sure.
But the Pacific Islander community had really nobody. I mean,
so unorganized, basically.
Not even unorganized. We just didn't have any. We have quite a few successful nonprofit organizations out there, but they all have different areas of our community and stuff that we deal with that they take care of.
Right.
But nothing that focuses 100% on civic engagement.
So for some of the folks that are watching throughout the country and throughout the world, we have a very large Pacific Islander community here in Utah.
We really do.
Very much so.
We have. So Salt Lake City has, I think it's, I might have the cities mixed, but West Valley City has the largest Tongan population in the nation.
Wow.
And that's per capita.
Okay.
And then Salt Lake City is the second largest population of Tongans in the nation.
So really not California, your Oceanside?
No, this is per capita. I mean, this is,
yeah.
And then of course, and then Utah, Salt Lake City, Utah has the fourth largest Samoan population.
Oh.
And there's no signs of it stopping.
Right.
So we definitely put this coalition together to get in front of to try to get in front of the 8 ball because we're so far behind it. To try to tackle some of the issues that exist for my community.
So why are you involved? Tell us a little bit about your story and maybe some of the things that have happened to you and your family. As you're a grandma.
I am a grandma.
But
I am a grandmother.
You're a grandma. You've got loads of family. You've still got kids at home.
I do.
You've been divorced.
Yeah.
All those fun things.
I mean, I'm divorced. I have 4 adult children. I have 3 grandkids, and I've been divorced since 2002. And I think the reason why I really got heavily involved in like the civic engagement coalition was because living in Cottonwood Heights really opened my eyes to how real and very relevant. I mean, I don't even know if that's a word. Racism and racial profiling is,
Right.
It's still very in our face,
Right.
and as much as I don't want it to be relevant to us, and in 2016, it really is,
Right.
And with my experiences with Cottonwood Heights Police has been such that they've raided. I don't even know if the word's raided. They've made their way through my home. Without a warrant or anything like that, probably three times now.
Right.
They've been on my property even more than that, accusing me, my children, of all kinds of crazy activities. It doesn't help that we live kitty corner across the street from the police department. And I think it's really sad that there's such a huge lack of understanding when it comes to cultural understanding.
Right.
They have none.
Right.
If they see, I have 3 sons, and my nephews come over to the house all the time. So, and they're big. I'm 6 foot, so I'm a 6 foot woman, and my boys are all taller than I am.
Right.
So to see a pack of young Pacific Islanders that are over 6 feet,
everybody thinks gang.
Yeah.
Right away.
The first thing that comes to mind is, we've got some troublemakers.
Right.
But these kids are actually really good kids.
Right.
A lot of the kids that come over, we have a plethora of all kinds of personalities that come to our house. We have, people who've actually been in the system. We have returned missionaries. We don't turn anyone away from our home based on the kind of lifestyle they've had. We just don't.
Right.
We have family members who have been in the pen, who have served time. We have family members who are hardcore LDS, members of the LDS Church who are returned missionaries. We have family members who are professional athletes. We just have like everybody else.
So just like every other culture.
Like every other culture.
So some of the issues have been culturally and racially driven that have kind of brought you to this point or to a couple of different points.
Oh, big time. Yes.
What made you run for office? I mean, what was that? How did that? I mean, I've run a few times and lost a few times, but I think it'd be really cool for people to, because I look at you as really, again, a regular person, and something had to really kind of twist your faith and your and give you that courage to really get involved in your community.
Yeah.
And running for office, as you know, it can kill you.
It really can. It can make
so
or break
what
you.
what was it that really got you to do it?
So my cousin's wife, Fahina, her name is Fahina Pasi. She's a huge activist, and she's the executive director for the National Tongan American Society. She was on a mission she went and got a list of all the seats that were coming up for election. And she started targeting who are the Pacific Islanders in those areas that we can talk into running for office. Because we were we definitely know as an activist, that's fantastic, but we can only do so much. Really, the power players are the people who make policy. Right? So we were okay, well, we've got the activism side covered. Now we need people in those seats to help us put in place policy that will protect our community and other communities of color, you know.
Right.
And so she kept joking around saying, okay, she told everyone I was running for office. She didn't tell me that yet, you know, she just told everyone, oh yeah, Margarita Satini's going to run for office, you know. And then when we would go places together to conferences and stuff, she would introduce me and say, oh, by the way, she's running for city council. She never asked.
Right.
Well, when it came time for me to go and declare my candidacy, I was like, why the hell not me? You know what I mean? Why not me?
Right.
This is my community as just as much as any of these people that live next to me. Right. I am just as invested in this community as all these other people.
Right.
So I wanted to run, and there were 3 things that I was running on. It was like the environmental issue, the police harassment, and then of course the taxes that were coming down the pipeline. Those are the 3 things that were really near and dear to me. But the police harassment one, I really wanted to put in place a police review board.
For those that are watching, again, this is BEAU'D Not Broken, the Daily Bend, and we're talking to Margarita about some of the things, some of her journeys and life experiences, and we're talking about faith and courage and endurance, and she's referencing why she ran for office and what kind of spurred that. The reason why I wanted to stop and highlight that is because for some of you out there, maybe not on Periscope, but on Facebook, you're probably very aware that I have stopped being very active in some of the wrongdoings that went on in Cottonwood Heights, but tried to help bring out and eventually expose what was going on there. Some people claim that I was, because I'm a former chief of police, undersheriff. I worked in Cottonwood Heights when I ran for sheriff the last time, so people think I might have an axe to grind or whatever else it is. But a friend of mine, Jim Stojak, who owned the Canyon Inn, was very, Jim's probably out there hopefully, and very instrumental business, very established business in Cottonwood Heights that was targeted and harassed and really drove out of business for a large development, or at least the potential of a large development. You know, Lonnie Roberts, who owns 7-Eleven in that area, and a couple other businesses were affected as well and have been affected. Jim ended up having to sell his business. Ironically enough, Margarita was running her campaign during really the heated time of this. And so that's where the police harassment comes in. And as you look around the country, there is a lot of harassment that is going on, and rightfully we coin it as harassment. And then there are some issues that aren't police harassment, that are being blown out of proportion. So this is a real topic for the time, and that's another reason why I wanted to have Margarita on. And I didn't want to do all the talking, but I wanted to give some background as to what Margarita's talking about when it comes to police harassment. And we live here in Utah in a predominant culture that does say that they love everyone, and members that go to church, you know, project that. Many do. I'm not speaking to specific people, but there are many that don't, and do look down upon people of color, especially the large Polynesian population that we have here. We have Tongan gangs, we have Samoan gangs, we have the gangs that most metropolitan areas have. But again, some people look upon them as gang members, just like African Americans and Latinos and Asian gangs and things like that. So anyway, back to you, because it's about you.
I mean, we definitely have all the social ills that all other communities have, right? I mean, we have our gang problems, but we also have very affluent members of our community. We have business owners. We have people who are planning to run for office. That was another reason, was that we didn't have any representation for the Pacific Islander community up at the Hill at all.
Right. There is no one in the legislature. Is it Manola Hola, right? Did I pronounce that right? I probably
Molanai
Hola. Okay.
Molanai ran.
He ran for Salt Lake City mayor a few times ago. Did really well, actually. It's too bad he hasn't kept it going, but he's a friend of mine on all these social. Good guy.
I've met him a few times.
Take us back to where'd you grow up?
So I was born in Northern California in the Bay Area.
Whereabouts?
So I was born at Stanford University Hospital.
Right. Okay.
And then shortly after I was born, my mom, dad, we picked up and we moved to Southern Cal and we lived in Inglewood.
That would be Inglewood.
Up to no good.
Daniel Freeman Hospital. BEAU'D Not Broken right here. That's where I was
When you
born.
told me you were from Inglewood, I was like, shut the heck up, no way.
That's right. Inglewood.
I didn't. That's when they had that's like when the last exodus of white folks were moving out of Inglewood.
Exactly. So so you grew up in California. When did you move?
So my family moved here in 1980.
Right.
And I've been here ever since.
Did you, during growing up, racism, issues there?
Yeah, and it was funny because we weren't, mind you, coming from California, coming from a very rich community of color, you know what I mean?
Right.
Just all different types of communities of color and growing up. And then to come here, it was a huge culture shock for me.
Right.
And I didn't realize I was different until I went to this English-speaking ward. It was a white ward down the street from me. I think I was 12 years old. I was in Young Women's, and I was sitting in class with the other young girls. And I remember now, in hindsight, I was sitting, separated. I was separated from them. I was segregated from. I was segregated. We were sitting in a circle, but I was on the one side by myself, and they were on the other side. And so I just remember this girl pulled out a bag of candy and started giving candy to all her friends. And one of those girls said, "Give one to her." Like I heard her whisper.
Oh my God.
And she threw it on the floor at my feet. And I picked it up and I threw it back at her. I said, "No, I'm good, thanks."
Right.
But that was the moment
that you knew.
That I knew that I was different, and that for the rest of my life I was going to be looked at like this. So
a chip on your shoulder, or no? Did you just?
No, it wasn't really a chip on my shoulder. It was. I was confused. I was really confused because I was young. I didn't really. My parents were immigrants. They immigrated to this country, so they came here with that guest mentality. Like, we're here to get a job and try to live, and we're just going to keep our head down. This is not, we're guests here. Let's not make any noise and just keep our head down, and we're not going to have, nobody will give us any problems. Right. So that was that was the example that I grew up with. Like, keep my head down, don't make any noise, and just go on with your day.
And the predominant religion here in Utah is Latter-day Saint or Mormonism, and so a lot of people are involved in that. So give us a few more little stories that growing up might have been, because you obviously finished school. You obviously finished school, and
it was just there was I just remember walking through the neighborhoods, coming home, and like one of the girls at my class didn't like me, and she was trying to call me out so we could fight, and her mom came out and called me the N-word, and I'm like, what? Because all my life, because all my life that was a word that was associated with a particular group, right? Sure. But then when I grew up, I was like, actually, for somebody like that, that word would encompass most people who are communities of color. You know what I mean? To them, we're all just lumped in. We're just one group, and we're not them. Right. We're this. You know, and so they called me that. So that was shocking. And then, of course, in school, I could tell in high school how there was the privilege with that other community was so in my face, versus the privilege that I had was not. Right. They could get away with a lot of things. Me and my community, we really couldn't get away with a whole lot of stuff. So these are things that I just continually experience.
And this show is not about racism.
No, it's not. It really
it's about being BEAU'D and not broken. It's about people's lives and stories. Yeah. So you finished high school, and did you go on?
I did. I went to college where I met my now ex-husband. Right. And he's Caucasian. He's Caucasian. What?
That never happens.
Huh? Yeah, so I ended up marrying somebody from the other side.
The white side of the force.
The other side. Okay. And, we had a really good relationship. We had 4 adult children. And, and I experienced, the same type of treatment with his family, right? And again, I don't have anything against whites at all. I don't. It's a matter of see past this to the person that's this. Exactly. But if you see this, let's celebrate it. Don't put me in a whatever whatever frame.
That's why you're here. So educated educated, went on. So you had babies
I had
and all that. Did you
babies,
stay
I had
home
babies.
and or did you continue to work?
Well,
for
I
that?
continued to work. I think I took like a year off to try to stay home with my kids.
Right.
And that's when I started having problems, marital problems. And my ex-husband is a raging alcoholic.
Oh.
Really a nice guy.
Yeah.
Really a nice guy, but he had his own issues. I had my own issues, and so we got a divorce.
Right.
But we still have a very close relationship. We do a lot of. We just.
So you parent well.
We have a partnership.
Right.
You know.
Right.
I can't see. I'm stuck in this thing where like it's hard for me to bring someone into my life and into my home. I don't want my, before it used to be my kids, like, oh, I don't want my kids to see all that.
Right.
Now I have grandkids. I'm like, I don't want my grandkids to see all that,
Right.
I'm okay. I'm okay where I'm at right now.
So, and now you have a darn good job. You've had a good job for a long time, and
Yep.
you maintain,
I've worked in IT I've had a career in IT for over 20 years. I used to have my own consulting business, and I used to do software consulting. I used to travel the country.
Wow.
Helping businesses implement, software.
Right.
And my area of expertise was the benefits module of this software. But then that's when I started having problems with my ex-husband, and so I had to quit all that. I had to take a huge pay cut.
Wow.
And stay home and focus on my family.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but then I just instead of consulting, running my consulting business, I just started working as an employee, and it's worked out well. I work for a really great company. The name of the company is CHT Healthcare. The former CEO,
very prominent.
The former CEO, who is now the chairman, has now announced his candidacy. He's running for governor.
Is that Cook?
No, Mike Weinholz.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
I'm going to tell you right now, Mike Weinholz is an amazing individual. I mean, he is running on the Democratic ticket, and I know this is a very hardcore conservative state.
Utah is a very Republican,
very red state.
Used to be Democrat, 30 years ago.
The crazy thing about him is that even though socially he's a very liberal individual, but fiscally he's very, very conservative. He's run a very successful business.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah,
I think good people are.
Good people are very like that. Yeah, I agree.
So, being a parent, how's that been? I mean, any lessons that we can, and the other thing is you're definitely someone that people look up to. Have you done some mentoring of young women and other women?
Yes, I have. Because for a while there, I was doing volunteer work. I would go and teach. There's a curriculum. It's the POP curriculum, which stands for People of the Pacific. And so a lot of these high schools have just a class specifically for that particular curriculum.
Right.
And it's really, the concentration is really for Pacific Islanders, but everyone's invited to come, So I would go once a month, and I would teach at Cypress High School, and then also at Matheson Junior High School. So I was slowly bringing on.
And what do you teach in there?
So we just have our curriculum is based on. I think that's
important.
Yeah.
I think it's important for people to know what that is because.
Yeah, you could go online and just look up People of the Pacific curriculum. It'll pull up the Utah Valley University website, and then it'll direct you right into the curriculum, the People of the Pacific POP curriculum.
Right.
But it's all about teaching culture, because we're more than a lot of people think Polynesian, then they think Hawaiian, then they think grass skirts, hula, or we're all or athletes, but really we're more than that. We've got thousands of years of very educated people. We were people of learning, of keep maintaining our culture. If you ever watch, I love the History Channel. I know there's a huge History Channel following. They had a documentary called, I can't remember the name of it. I'll have to look it up. But they were talking about who were the greatest the navigators in the history of mankind, and it was the Polynesians.
Don't doubt it.
The Polynesians. He goes, that
vast ocean.
The vast ocean, and so we have a lot of things in our possession that were this is not indigenous to our people. It came from South America, and South America has things that were not indigenous to them that are indigenous to us. You know, so that tells us. Just from all the studies and all the stuff they've got, that we mastered navigating the oceans. And we were discovering lands way before Columbus was discovering land. You know what I mean? So, and we're not the only ones, but we were deemed the greatest. So that to me is you know, gotta pop your collar.
Pop. Every time I get it, I don't have a collar.
Just pop it.
Your children, you know, have there been times? Has there been a low time in your life where you just was, you know, you were reaching for any little faith in yourself or a higher power that you just
most definitely
would share?
And I share this with a lot of people, but a lot of people don't know this about me. I was going through a rough time, like when I had to give up my consulting business to come home and battle it out with my ex-husband. And it wasn't really him; it was actually his family.
Right.
They had my children taken away from me. And I had to battle that out for 2 whole years.
Really?
All the money that I had saved, I couldn't go get a job because I just couldn't. I had to go to all of the what do you call it? The counseling sessions that I was required.
Well, you're under a microscope.
I was under a microscope.
Right.
So I had to fight for my kids. I couldn't go work. My dad died at the time. I could only see my kids twice a week, and that was under supervised visitations. And that was probably the lowest part of you'll have to go into the close.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay, go ahead, keep going. Keep going.
That was, there you go. And then just, what does it say right there?
It says, paused. We can resume for a minute.
There you go.
But there we go.
So that was probably the lowest part of my life. But I'm going to tell you right now, Bo, that was a life change. The person that had it not been for those experiences,
right,
I wouldn't be who I am today.
Right.
And I absolutely love who I am today. And I'm absolutely grateful. And it's going to sound so crazy, but I am absolutely grateful for all the experiences. All that hell, I call those 2 years the dark ages.
What did it teach you about yourself?
Well, it taught me that I was resilient. I was very strong. I was stronger than I thought I was. There were many times where I questioned myself. Can I do this? Like,
right.
I wanted to give up so bad. I wanted
just
to,
like everybody
I wanted to give up. I wanted to, end my life. I wanted to end other people's lives. Sorry, I'm just saying that. I was kind of going through something.
We had Mark Sherlock on. Other people on.
I wanted to, I wanted to give up. Like, I lost my dad, and I didn't have my kids to turn to, and I was going through a divorce. So I was losing everything.
Excuse me.
And so
a couple of sickies here.
Yeah, I understand.
What held you in there?
My faith in myself and my kids.
Awesome. That's exactly why we're here.
Yep.
And your kids. Faith in yourself and faith in
my
your
higher
kids.
power.
Right.
Higher power.
Right.
So, but I people think I'm crazy because I share this story with anyone. I don't just go free. Now everybody knows, but when people ask, I tell them, I went through the same thing. I had to fight for that because when I found the 8-page letter that got submitted, it was like 8 pages of straight up lies. And I was like, I cannot believe. And so from then on, I have been such a huge advocate for civil rights, human rights. When I see people lie, oh God. Right. You can put a person in prison off of one lie.
True. True.
I lost my family off of an 8-page letter filled with lies. And in hindsight now, I'm thankful for the experience because I wouldn't be who I am today if I had not gone through that.
Right.
So,
I think what we talk about on this show and what I try and talk about all the time is the balance. Is when that balance goes away. If you lose a little bit of faith in yourself, you lose the courage to kind of continue sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
And every problem has its time.
Yeah.
So the endurance part is the thing that really tries you. If it's something that you have to go through more than a couple of months, you're talking. You have to find it within yourself to really kind of push on.
You really do. And it was a trying time for me, but I'll tell you, I learned a lot about me, and I learned that I can really, if I can get through that, I can get through anything.
How about your kids through that time?
Who
was old enough to?
They were old enough. Yeah, they were old enough to totally understand.
Right.
And they understood. Now, they really have nothing to do with that side of the family.
Right.
Because they took away from them the person that they love more than is their mother. Right. And it was 2 years of hell, but you know, so now I feel like that experience has put me in a place where I can actually offer advice. I offer a lot of counseling. A lot of people call me all the time for counseling, you know, and they love that I'm so open and real with my experiences. I don't try to.
Right.
I have no idea what that is.
That's you're done up there. You can only go 30 minutes.
Oh,
on
really?
Facebook.
Oh.
So, yeah. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, it'll save to your camera as well.
Oh, cool.
So.
Yeah. So so that's what you know. Yeah. A lot of times when I think about that period of my life, I'll tear up. You know, I'll tear up because we lost our home. We lost. I mean, because I was, you know, dealing with an ex-husband who was a raging whatever.
Right.
Prior to it was just, yeah. I had a sister who left her 2 kids and took off, and so I had 4 kids. Plus those 2, so I had 6. Yeah, so I had 6 kids, all under the age of 8. You know, and I've noticed now that I've adopted this behavior that when times get tough, I go into autopilot. Like I start stacking all the tasks. Like in order for me to get to where I need to go, this is what I want to come out of this. I'll have that vision in my head, and then I'll start stacking all my tasks to get to that point. So once I get to that point, I'm okay. Well, then once I let go of my, you know, when the autopilot goes off, then I have a little crying session. I'm like, oh my gosh. But by then I've already, you know what I mean? I gotta grab my phone if you don't mind.
That's fine. That's awesome stuff. Are you, I try and ask, I didn't get to yesterday, but do you have, who are your heroes? Do you have a hero or a couple of heroes that in your life, or maybe in fantasy land, you know, like movies, things like that?
So
might be.
My mom has been my hero. When I think about her and my father immigrating to this country, they barely spoke any English.
Right.
You know what I mean? But they knew about this great US of A, you know? And so they gambled and they took their, you know, they're like, you know what, let's just go, you know, and it wasn't just my mom. I mean, because my mom and dad weren't married when they came here. My mom came by herself. My dad came by himself.
Oh, okay.
So they didn't come, you know, together.
On a wing and a prayer.
On a wing and a prayer.
Yep.
And they came with very, very little knowledge, very, very little money, but they had a lot of faith. And they came here, and I'm thankful for that. My mom came here; she was pregnant with me. She almost had me over there. I was like, I would have had to go through this whole immigration issue.
Dual citizenship.
Yeah, I would have been like, what is going on? So
wow.
Yeah, so.
So mom, that's cool. That's
mom,
really
yeah,
neat.
and not only that, but she was like one of the. They have this sport called net basketball. I don't know if you're familiar with net basketball. Are you?
No. I'm not.
So
as
net,
much of a sports
it's
guy.
called, I know it's called netball.
Right.
But it's like playing basketball, but you don't bounce the ball, and it's famous like everywhere but here.
Is it physical?
Very physical.
Yeah, I would imagine it's physical. It's
Very
like rugby.
physical.
Rugby with a net. Rugby with a net, probably.
It's set up like a basketball court. But it's divided into 3 sections. Right? So you've got your shooters on the ends, and then you've got your defenders in the middle. So you can, once you grab that ball, one leg has to stay stationary while the other one pivot. You know, you pivots like so you'll see a lot of these players like jump, catch the ball, and like do split leaps in the air because they're trying to get close to their shooter so they can throw the ball to their shooter so they can score and win. You know.
Well, splits would kick my.
I've seen Beau do the splits. He's really good.
I did. I've done the splits.
Awesome.
So, what are the current things you're working on? What are some of the things you're working
So,
on?
I started
that we can give some plugs to and get people out there and, you know, just kind of if there's some things that you're working on that people can help with or some charities or whatever it might be.
So, we have, so I'm the chair of the Utah Pacific Islanders Civic Engagement Coalition. So, if you're a Pacific Islander and you want to get involved, hit me up on Facebook or go through Beau, whatever. Find me. I'm on Facebook all the time.
Right.
And then if, also, we are trying to push getting people registered to vote.
Oh,
that is huge because we have so many of our own community, and not just our community. We have people who are this presidential election is humongous.
Right.
We have so many first-time voters.
Donald Trump is BEAU'D, not broken. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm putting this up there, so
we're trying not to be very political on BEAU'D, not broken, but it really is about.
Well, you're with me, so you can't help it.
We really need to have a show about voting, and we really need to have a show about. I mean, it really is something that people need to get engaged with. We have such a low turnout with voting here in Utah and everywhere else. And look at what's going on nationally. Yeah. Nationally, it is the most amazing presidential year that I think anyone has ever seen in I don't know, maybe even 100 years. And so it is important. So one of your passions is to get people out to vote, and not just for you, but other people. Vote.
Yeah, just get out and vote. Just register, and and it's a lot. It's funny because I'm so vocal about a lot of the issues that we have. In fact, the legislative session just ended. When was it? Yesterday? I think it was just yesterday.
Yes.
Just ended yesterday, and our coalition supported a number of bills. And one of the bills that we really supported, that I'm very proud of, that I was a part of, was House Bill 460, which was another means of stopping the school to prison pipeline epidemic.
Okay.
So this bill basically says that it makes training for the school resource officers and for administrators. It's required that the State Board of Education provides that training, how to handle an array of all kinds, like people of color, people with disabilities, people who come from, poor homes.
Right.
I mean, because those are the people that are highly targeted.
People in crisis, but also people of color, people with disabilities, or whatever it might be.
Because, a lot of SROs will come into a class, like a teacher will have a kid who's unruly in their class, and they'll call the SRO to come and get them out, and the SRO, and then they'll ask the SRO to, either suspend or whatever. Get rid of this kid, put him, and so what happens is, the SRO feels like, I gotta help this is what the teacher wants, I gotta do what the teacher wants. So they'll get this kid out of the class, and then they'll put them in the system. Mm-hmm. And then basically it is, once you're in the system, it is hell to get back out.
Right.
So once you get that kid into the system, they're basically on their journey to, a higher institutionalized correction facility.
Which is too bad, because the juvenile system was basically, the history is basically a civil system. It's not a criminal system.
Yeah.
And for it to become, even intending not to be, but it is a criminal system.
Yeah.
And most people look at it that way, but it's a civil system. It's not meant for, it's not
for
meant
all these
for
kids
time away.
Exactly.
It's meant for therapy. It's meant for alternative programs.
Yeah.
It's meant for all that. That's
so we definitely, so we're hoping that this puts into place. This is a huge step in dismantling the school to prison pipeline, and so we're hoping that they're looking at this like, it's a behavioral issue. I mean, they're high school kids. You got 16-year-old kids. You've had a 60-year-old kid. You know how, you know what I mean. Especially girls, they're very, the whole high school thing. I remember how I was.
Girls.
Well, not. Girls rock.
Any other things you're working on that you want to pass on?
So I started a new business.
Okay.
But I'm not ready to talk about it yet.
Okay.
We're going to do it. We've already started gathering. We've acquired quite a few clients, but we'll do a full launch in July.
Good. Yeah. Well, when you do that, have us. We'll come and do
our
show.
Love to.
We'll do our show from there.
I hope I didn't talk your ear off.
No, of course not.
Yeah. So, anyways, I thank you for having me on your show.
Thanks for being here. I don't. You can see what an amazing woman she is, and she's on Facebook. She's all over the place. For those that are outside in the country, outside the country, spell your name so they know exactly how to look it up.
Yeah. So it's Margarita.
It's on here. But
yeah. It's Margarita, and last name is Satini. Don't be sending me no crazy stuff, okay?
Right, no pictures of
units
and things like that. I mean, let's be honest. Don't do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, I just appreciate you coming. I know we tried to set it up last week, but it didn't work out. And so follow her, and for some of the younger women out there, even for some of the older women out there, what a great example. And no different than everybody else out there.
No different. It took me to experience, and again, I know it's not a political show, but it took me to experience some social injustice to create and seek out social justice. Mm-hmm. So whatever it is, a lot of people are like, I don't know if I want to don't know if I want to do that or
I don't
do
know if I
this.
want to
I'm like,
rock the boat.
yeah, I don't know if I want to. I'm like, you only have one life. So if there's something out there that you're passionate about, do it. And if you fail, guess what? You didn't fail. You just learned how not to do something that you like to do. So then you find another way to do that thing, right? And I think that's probably my biggest thing is that I'm pretty stubborn. So once I make my mind up to do something, I'm pretty committed. I'm like a pit bull. I won't let go, you know, and I'll do everything in my power to make sure that, you know, and I'm not afraid to fail because I've failed so many times, but it's not even, I don't even consider it a failure. I call it, oh, I just found out that that's not the best way to do it for me, you know, so let's change the way our approach. You know what I mean?
That's great. Failure. You know, I hear Yoda in the background. It's not failure. It's learning.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is.
It is. It's. I mean, you should not be afraid to fail. You should fail fast, and you should fail often, and you should take that as a learning. I mean, I think that's probably one of the biggest fears because, you know, all our lives are growing up. We're told not to fail. Failing is bad. Failing is not really bad. It's just it's another way to tell you, like, okay, I guess that wasn't for me, or maybe that wasn't the best approach, or you just learn something that you know that you're not going to have to do again, you know. So
Great.
Don't be afraid to fail.
Thank you. Maybe that'll pull some of you out there, or somebody out there.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll pull somebody out of that darkness that they don't think they're hopeless. That's what we try and provide here on BEAU'D Not Broken, the Daily Ben. Thank you for joining us. Remember, you can go. We're live on Periscope, BeauBabka TV. We also have the shows archived at BeauBabka.com. It is BEAU'D Friday. We try and the BEAU'D Not Broken, or the BEAU'D Revolution. BEAU'D Friday was set up because everyone's a superhero. As you can see, everyone is. And if you look at yourself, you're a superhero as well. So the whole premise behind BEAU'D Friday was to either wear it underneath, wear it outwardly, whatever it might be, and just remind yourself on Friday. It goes well with Aloha Friday because we could put a nice Aloha shirt on, which next week that's what I'll do. A nice Hawaiian shirt on with our undergarms being a superhero shirt. But it's to remind you that you are a superhero and press on. And if you can keep the balance of faith and courage and endurance, then I think you can do pretty much everything. So I want to thank everybody for watching. It's been a great week of shows. I look forward to next week. I learn more, I think, than anybody else, and hopefully this is helping you. And we do a shout out for Ellen DeGeneres. We want to take this. Yeah, we want to take this show.
Ellen, if you're watching,
that's right. Ellen needs to know what's up. She needs to.
Ellen, you need to put Bo on your show.
That's right. We need to have it on.
And have him bring me so we can balance out the color palette.
Exactly. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next Monday. And thanks for joining us. Bye-bye. And this will be the awkward part where I get up and turn off everything. Thanks, Margarita.
Oh,
Thank you.
You're welcome.
There's that. And hello. Where's the...